Oh my God! What the f***? Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!
It was packed. The parade had just finished. And in this new footage, the sight and sounds of a football crowd buzzing with excitement as they tried to head home. And then, the chaos. You can see why so many were injured. And the ripple of panic that spread through the crowd. With adrenaline pumping, fans surrounded and attacked the car, trying to get to the driver.
The way it was meant to be, but not the way it was meant to end up. So we're about here by that flag.
Dan Everson had gone to the parade with his partner Cherie and their baby, 5-month-old Teddy. They were all hit by the car.
I saw the car hurtling towards us, and then a chap hit the bonnet. I'd say he was in his 40s, possibly, hit the bonnet and flew off towards the other direction, and then he just sort of turned into us. He just ploughed into us, and I tried to, I don't know why, but I tried to hold on to the front of the car and try and stop it, push it, do whatever I could from it hitting my partner and my baby. But at the time, me and my partner was sat on the roof, on the bonnet, sorry. And yeah, we were just both trying to hold on dear life with Ted next to us. And my partner went under the wheels of the car, of the front of the car, and it rode over her leg. And I just bounced off to the side, but my boy in his pram got bounced totally opposite direction, about 15 feet down the road.
Okay, so I've had a really good look at this Liverpool Parade incident, and I feel as though I've got the measure of it now, so I'm going to share that with you. First of all, I'll just say that there are 3 mainstream media resources that I've used here. One is BBC Verify, the second is ITV News, and the third is Sky News. So I'm going to start with BBC Verify. They put together a video with their verification of what happened here, and it is really quite interesting. This is how the video begins. They're setting the scene. The parade is the Liverpool Premier League Victory Parade, and there were hundreds of thousands of people on the streets. And here's an ITV report from that day, Monday the 26th of May 2025. So this video gives a flavour of how the parade was going. The street's absolutely packed, a lot of red smoke, people in red, people dressed in red football shirts and red flags. A bit further down there's a snippet that says, quote, "The parade lasted around 4 hours, with hundreds of thousands of fans gathering on the Strand ahead of the culmination of the parade, and despite rain falling at times, it failed to dampen spirits." So that paints the picture of how things were. And it's clear from the context here that the parade had ended by the time this report went to press. Back to BBC Verify. And the first thing they show is this parade route map. They don't actually give any details apart from this one line on the map, but I've put together a bit more about this, which I'll show you now. This is the image from BBC Verify. The incident happened on Monday the 26th of May, and the parade start time was 2:30 in the afternoon. The parade route was 10 miles long. and I found out from an ITV tweet that the parade ended at around 6:07 p.m. The time of the incident, I couldn't find an exact time. All of the reports seem to say just after 6 p.m, and so I've had to go with that. This is a zoomed in version of the street map. The green road on the left here is the parade route, so the bus was travelling in this direction. At approximately 5:40 p.m, it reached the end of Water Street. Water Street is the location of the incident, and the incident, as I said earlier, happened just after 6 p.m. according to all the reports that I've found. The car involved was a Ford Galaxy, and it first appeared on Dale Street. Now, Dale Street wasn't closed to traffic that day. The car was moving in this direction. There was a roadblock here, and this is where the driver was said to have tailgated an ambulance onto Water Street, but I'll get to that in a while. The first couple of videos were filmed here on Dale Street, just outside William Hill, and BBC Verify shows these videos. Going back to BBC Verify, the next scene they show is an aerial view of the path that the car takes through the city. This is Dale Street.
This CCTV footage obtained by the BBC appears to show a grey Ford car trying to make its way through Dale Street, which is full of fans, a couple of minutes before the crowd was ploughed into.
And then they play the video alongside the map.
This next video shows a grey Ford car surrounded by people about 380 feet or 110 metres down the street. The car
The red dot here indicates where the car is, and if you watch that red dot, it's quite interesting because it goes back and forward as the car edges forward and then reverses.
The car reverses and makes contact with a person in a raincoat. One person punches and kicks the vehicle. Another joins in too, before the car reverses into him.
And you can see what's happening in the video here. One thing I want to point out here about BBC Verify is that they've darkened a lot of the footage, and they've focused in on one little bit which they've kept bright, so they're focusing you in on what they want you to see.
The car then speeds forward along Dale Street. As the car drives off, the man who had been reversed into throws an object towards the car, appearing to smash its rear windscreen.
Now, because they've darkened the surroundings on this, there's a lot that can't be seen on the BBC Verify video. And so I've downloaded this video and I'm going to go through it and show you what the BBC is not showing you. Okay, so this is the first frame of the video. It seems that it's someone in the crowd who's filming this, most likely on her phone, and something must have drawn their attention to this car because it's the car that's the focus of the video. There's a lot happening in the first couple of seconds which, if you're not aware of it, you don't see it, and I'd watched this several times and hadn't noticed. It was only when I came across a Sky News report that I had a look again and I saw it. The Sky News report says, quote, "Footage shows somebody closing a door on the right hand side, but it is unclear if he was a passenger." And so I had a really good close look at this, and it happens within the first 2 or 3 seconds, as I'll show you. This is the first frame, and I'm going to zoom it in and try to show you what's happening. We're looking at this area here, and the first thing to say is that to see what's going on, you'll need to tune out a couple of the people who are in the way. The first one is this guy with his arm in the air, this grey sleeve. Now, this arm belongs to this man in the red cap, and then there's someone just behind him who's looking over his shoulder, and he gets in the way a bit too, so that's not where your focus needs to be. I'll play this backwards and forwards a couple of times for you to get an idea what's going on. There's certainly someone there, and he certainly slams the car door shut. Now, to me, it does look like he's getting out of the passenger door, but it's a very fuzzy video, so I'll leave that for you to decide. I'll now go through this frame by frame. You can just about see his shoulder here. It's this tiny pink blob just by the car. Now, yeah, it looks to me like he's getting out of the car. It looks like he's stooping down, and he stands up and moves away and slams the door. So I could be wrong about that because it's so blurry, but that's how it looks to me. But the interesting thing is actually what he does next, which I'll go through now. I'll go through this short video again, this time keeping track of the man who appears to get out of the car. There he is. I'll just get a clear shot of him. So you can see his back here as he's closing the door. He's dressed in red. It looks very much like what the football supporters are wearing. But on his head he's got a black cap. Now, it looks like a very long baseball cap to me, but that's not what it is, and I know that because there's a very clear picture of him in another video which I'll show you later. So just keep an eye on him and see what he does. First of all, he moves away from the car and he kind of blends in with the crowd. Meanwhile, almost immediately, the driver of the car backs up, and this is where he nudges the woman in pink. There. But rather than being distracted by that, keep an eye on what's happening with the man who got out of the car. He's still actually just visible here. And there he is. As the car pulls away, there's a very clear shot of him. And from this it looks like he's got a flag around his shoulders. And he watches the car as it pulls away. By this time there are people who are actively attacking the car. He turns around, he's got his back to the car now, and he moves towards the crowd again. And then he turns around again. The man at the back here with the yellow sleeves is the one he's just kicked it and it looks like a bit's fallen off the car, probably the rear windscreen wiper. He's about to become a major character in this video as the car reverses and he runs backwards. But again, don't watch that, watch the person who's got out of the car. He's still there, just in the corner. Still there. He's about to go out of view, but he's just watching as this plays out. The car pulls forward, and as he does, this man runs after it and throws something. There. I'll go a bit more slowly so you can see he's coming into view and he throws something. There. And then the man who was backed into picks something up from the pavement, runs after the car, and he throws the thing. The driver then pulls off and goes out of sight. And that's the end of the video. Just before I show you the next video, there's something I've just spotted on this and it looks so strange. We're at the point now where the driver's pulling away and there's someone running behind him, the guy with the yellow sleeves, and he's carrying something and he's about to throw it at the car. Now the thing he throws is a fold-up chair. Sky News said that, and you can see from one of the later videos that that is what it is. But what I've noticed on this video is that the back windscreen of the car appears to smash before the object hits it. There. And so the man's at the back here and he's running to catch up with the car. He's about to throw it, but there it looks to me like the windscreen's already gone, and then he throws it. Yeah, I can't make any sense of that in terms of reality. So there you go. And now back to the BBC Verify video.
A different video taken at the same time shows people shouting at the driver. Someone opens the driver's door and the driver briefly comes into view as the car begins to accelerate.
The BBC in that clip there suggests that this is one video, but it's actually two videos, and I managed to track them both down. They're both very short, but there's quite a lot in there that's interesting.
Hey, Sweden! Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
One of the things I want to say about this video is that there's no timestamp on it, and that's true of all the videos. It really is quite frustrating because I can't tell with this one when in the sequence this was filmed, whether it was before or after the previous video. But the interesting thing to me is that there's someone in this crowd who looks very familiar. He's just there. And I'm pretty sure that this is the same man who appeared to get out of the back of the car earlier in the earlier video. And you can get a much clearer view of him on this video. He is indeed wearing a black cap, but he is also wearing a black jacket, and the hood of his jacket is draped over the back of his red scarf. So that's what we were seeing. He's certainly interacting with the car on this video. But unlike in the previous video, he doesn't pick anything up to throw at the car. This second video has a lot more detail and it's quite a lot more interesting. This is the one where the BBC shows that the car doors opened and you can see the driver, but just watch who opens the car door. I'll just run through this slowly. Here he is reaching for the door. He just about manages to open it. It's just open a fraction there. The driver opens it further and you get a good view of it, and then he slams the door shut. He's driving very slowly at this time. He's just pulling away. And then here comes the man who's picked up the item that he throws at the back of the car. You can see the item there, and it really does look like a folding chair. He runs after the car. Unfortunately, you can't see anything because there's a man with a hat that just gets in the way of this last bit of the video. You can see him raising his arm to throw the objects at the car, but not the back of the car itself, which is a bit disappointing. Back to BBC Verify.
The next series of videos we've identified shows the Ford now about 700 feet, 215 metres onto the connecting Water Street, trying to drive through the crowd. Several people are striking the car as it still attempts to get through. It then speeds up, hitting several people and knocking them to the ground. From a higher angle, you can see people trying to move out of the way as the Ford swerves and ploughs into people. The car comes to a stop and is rapidly surrounded by fans. Police move in to try to control the situation.
Before I take you through the two videos that BBC Verify has shown, I want to show you on the street map where this is happening. And so what I've got here is the pointer outside William Hill on Dale Street, which is where the previous scene took place. The driver sets off in this direction towards Water Street. At this point there's a roadblock, and this is where the mainstream media tells us that an ambulance was going through here, and the driver of this car tailgated the ambulance onto Water Street. In the video I'm about to show you, and the one that was analysed by BBC Verify, the ambulance is just here. And you can see in the video there's a building with a very prominent number on it, and it's number 8 Water Street, so that gives us a location for the ambulance. The car in the video that was filmed from the street looks to be very close to this ambulance. At the start it seems to be in front of the ambulance, but it seems to reverse and be next to the ambulance just before the driver does his 40-yard run to the stopping point. And that's the entire distance he covers in that time. There's a little snippet in Sky News and it's quite interesting. It says, quote, "If we cross-reference various videos to maps of the street, we can see the car covers 40 metres, which is 131 feet, in 9 seconds. And that means an average speed of 10 miles an hour. I'll play the first video through in its entirety and you'll see the path the car takes and the speed it's going. At the start it looks like it's going pretty fast, but then it pretty much comes to a standstill before it just noses into the crowd, or ploughs into the crowd, as the mainstream media say. So watch out for that when I show you the video.
Oh, it's a bit bonuses. Holy shit. Oh my god. Who's that?
What the fuck?
He's had it, him.
What the fuck?
What the fuck's going on there?
Oh my god, what the fuck? Oh
Nah,
my
he's
god,
dead,
that's
him.
funny, me video and that.
No, he's just killed a few people, you know.
This is clearly a video from a window above the scene. The first thing I noticed in this video is that the camera immediately zooms in on the place where the car appears. It's not actually in view at the start of the video, but that's the first thing that happens. There. Now, the next thing that happens is that there's a man dressed in a red football shirt standing in the road, and when you play this at normal speed it looks as though the car runs into this man and he goes over the bonnet, but in actual fact that's not what happens. Okay, so the car is just about to come into view here. You can already see the man in the road. One thing to point out at this frame is that there's something red on the car right at this moment, and that is the person who actually is bonneted, and that happened just before this video started. The man on the road actually jumps out of the way, and the man who's on the bonnet is there and he slides off there. This video is extremely fuzzy, but there's a better view of this from the street, which is the video I'll show you next. But just to run this a bit further, the driver's really slowed down here and he's about to plough into the crowd. And that's it at normal speed. There are people on the ground in front of the car, and at this point the crowd rushes towards the car. So I'll just leave it there. And you can see this red shirt or flag or something that's still attached to the top of the car. This second video of the incident, right at the start when the video begins, you can see here that the car is actually in front of that ambulance. I'll play the whole thing through once for you to see, and then I'll go through it.
Oh my god! What the fuck? Oh no! What the? Oh my god, Allah! Oh my god! Oh my god! What the fuck? Fucking kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Fucking kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!
Okay, so there's an awful lot going on in this short video, and I'll try to explain to you what I've seen in it. The car at this stage is in front of the ambulance, and it looks stationary at the start of the video. I'll play through this slowly to show you what's going on. There are people attacking the car, there are people behind smashing at the roof. Now it looks to me there like he's reversing. He goes out of shot for a moment, but then the camera comes back and now he's actually beside the ambulance. At least to me it looks like he's backed up and he's now beside the ambulance. This next bit happens very quickly, and there are a few things to point out, so I'll be going through it a couple of times. But the first thing to look at is this man here in the high-vis jacket. Now next to him is someone in red. This is the man who ends up on the bonnet. and next to him is another man. And so there are two men either side of the victim who ends up on the bonnet. Now just take a close look of the man in the high-vis jacket and the way he's indicating with his arm. That was played pretty quickly. I'll play it again. Actually, it needed to be a little bit further back than that. Right, so I'll play it from here. The man in the car is about to set off, but you're not watching the car, you're watching the man in the high-vis jacket who's just here. Now, I've played this through many times to get a really good look at it, and it looks to me like he's actually pointing at the man in red who ends up on the bonnet. I'll just go back and show you again. So there he's about to set off. And now looking at this a bit more closely, the man in red ends up on the bonnet and the two men either side of him dodge out of the way of the car. So that's how it looks to me. And so this looks very different from the previous video, where there's one man standing on his own in the middle of the street and he appears to end up on the bonnet. But I think I've spotted the man who was standing in the middle of the street, and I'll play it in a minute. But just to point out this point, there's no red flag on the top of the car. There's someone here just coming into view dressed in a red shirt, and I think this is the guy who was standing in the middle of the street. He jumps and he goes to the side. Meanwhile, the guy on the bonnet has slid off. You can't see him there, but you can see that there's a red flag or shirt, I think it's a flag, on the top of the car there. And then the car starts going into the crowd. After putting together that sequence, I actually came across another version of the same video, but this one was much better quality. It was higher resolution, and I spotted a few more things which I'll show you. Before I do that, I just want to show you something I've added to my Manchester resources page. I've put it on Substack and I've put it on my own website. So on Substack it's under Manchester resources, and it's this one here, useful software. I thought this might be a useful section to set up, and I've started it with this software called SM Player. It's the software I use to analyse these videos, and it's really useful for frame by frame analysis of a video. The link takes you directly to the download page. I'm not necessarily recommending this, and there might be other ones that are much better, but it's the one that I use and it's free, so that's there. I've added this to my own website as well. So this is http://pighui.co.uk, and so it's here under Manchester series. I've put the resource page. So this is the better quality video, and you really can see things a lot more clearly. You can actually see the faces in the crowd and the anger that's surrounding this car. This writing across the middle is a bit distracting, but it doesn't stay on the screen for long. The point we're at the moment is where the car is in front of the ambulance, and you can see more clearly what's going on behind the car. There's someone with an object and he's striking the top of the car at the back. Now bear in mind that at this point the driver has come along at Dale Street and onto Water Street with the back of his window completely smashed. He's tailgated this ambulance and he seems to have got in front of the ambulance. He really is surrounded by the crowd here in this video, and the person who's smashing the back of the car, it actually looks like a folding chair, which is what the previous man who ran after the car threw at the back of it to smash the back window. So here he is, bringing it down on the roof. As he lifts it up again, you can see that it's some sort of metal with some sort of canvas at the end. The camera pans to one side at that point and then pulls back. And the car reverses. Another thing I spotted at this point is that the driver's door is open. And it stays open as he sets off. Now this is very reminiscent of what happened previously. He sets off, the door's open, and he closes it as he goes along. We're now at the point where the car is about to set off, and we'll just watch that sequence with the three in a row with the man dressed in red in the middle who ends up on the bonnet of the car. Here's the man in the high-vis jacket and he's waving in exactly the same way there. I'll just play that again. And just at this point, as the victim slides off the bonnet, this other man jumps across. At this point, you lose sight of the car because there's someone in the way of the camera dressed in orange who's pointing. But when it comes out the other side, you can see very clearly something else, and it's actually a pram. This pram and the father's account of the baby being hit in the pram was all over the press. So here we are at the point when the car is just nosing into the crowd, and there you can actually see the pram has just hit it head on and it's moving forward. That frame there is a really clear shot of it, and it keeps going forward. It's hard to see what actually happens to that pram. So that's how that bit looks in high resolution. He's stopped now. Just as a short aside about this video, It struck me as unusual that such a high quality, high definition video of the entire incident was just there on YouTube. So I wanted to know who had uploaded this particular video. The first thing to say is that it was from Fox. Now this is Fox 9, which is actually a Minnesota-based news organisation. So that's where it came from. And then I noticed this little bit of text on the screen. It says Ali Imran via Storyful. I was quite intrigued by this. So it looks like an organisation called Storyful had acquired this video from someone called Ali Imran. And so first of all I looked at Storyful, and this is their website. Quote, Storyful is a social news and strategic intelligence agency. Storyful sources and verifies content and provides actionable digital media intelligence to help our partners gain competitive advantage. But what does Storyful actually do? Well, looking at their X account, it seems that they troll social media sites for videos which they then acquire for their clients. And their clients are mainstream media news outlets such as the BBC, Fox News and all the rest of them. And here is the Storyful TikTok page. And my guess is that this is where they picked up the Ali Imran video. And just to add that on the Storyful YouTube channel, there's a little paragraph which says, quote, have a great video, share it with Storyful to promote and monetize your content through the enormous audience reach of our global roster of media clients and social media audiences. So it looks like if one of your videos is picked up by Storyful, you may be in for some decent money. So who is Ali Imran? Well, it was interesting because I only had to type the name into Google and this came up. It's a Wikipedia page, and it turns out that Ali Imran is a fictional character. Quote, Ali Imran is a fictional character in various Urdu language detective novels written by Azra Ahmed. And here's a description of the character. Quote, Imran is written out as a bright and young Oxford graduate, holding both a master's degree and a doctorate in chemistry. Although being highly inquisitive and trained in the matters of criminology, Imran is portrayed rather as showing clumsiness at times to hide the fact that he is a spy master for a special branch of Secret Service spy operatives working for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Like Inspector Clouseau in The Pink Panther, this facet of his personality serves also as comic relief throughout the novel series and teams the extreme morbidity and ruthlessness espionage with decent humour. So I guess that gives you a bit of a flavour of the fiction here. And these books were written between 1955 and 1980. I did try to track down the Ali Imran who was credited by Storyful for that video, but it was an impossible job because this pseudonym is extremely popular. This just gives you an idea of the list of Ali Imrans on TikTok. I'm going to play the last bit of the BBC Verify video now.
Different videos show the unfolding chaos. Several police officers can be seen trying to keep an angry crowd from getting to the driver. A few open the door of the car and reach inside. People desperately try to lift up the car to free the person trapped beneath it. Police officers pull out the driver, and those who've been injured are attended to. This video then appears to show someone being bundled into a police van as officers try to keep screaming people away. The investigation into what happened is still ongoing, and there are many unanswered questions. Dozens have been injured in this incident, including 4 children, according to the authorities. What was meant to be a moment of celebration has turned to horror.
And that's it. Now, in that final section there, I reckon there are 4 separate videos. I managed to track down 2 of them, the first one and the last one, and so I've had a look at those. I'm not going to spend too long on this because these aren't as interesting, but it seems that the BBC has cut a couple of very interesting little details out. This is the first of the 4 videos that BBC Verify showed. I'll play through some of this with the sound on so that you can get a feel for what it is.
Fuck me. Wow. Everyone alright? Shit.
I did try to find a better quality version of this video because it is very grainy, but I couldn't find one. The first thing to say is that the BBC Verify video didn't start at this point, it started further in and it missed out a quite interesting detail. At this point, the back number plate is about to come into view. There it is. It's quite blurry, so can't really see it that clearly. But if you can just see there's a hand reaching in. So someone gets onto that number plate very quickly. It's not entirely clear what they're doing, but there is definitely someone there. It looks like he's trying to take off the number plate. But he pulls his hand away and there's still something there. Meanwhile, this man runs in. He's wearing a bright orange hooded anorak and bright orange shoes, and he's around quite a lot. He's anxious to get to the back of this car and he pushes through the police here. So he's right there and he starts kicking the back of the car. Now at this point the number plate has gone and it's not clear what happened, but it's definitely gone at this point. And while this is all going on, there's something happening at the front passenger side of the car. It's about to come into view. There are 3 men in the similar orange hooded anoraks who seem to be getting into the car. Okay, so there's one there already in the doorway. There's a second one there, and he's wearing a little backpack by the looks of it. And then there's a third one, this older man with glasses. And he too is wearing a kind of black backpack. So there are 2 people in the car at the moment and this third one. And then this man who'd just been kicking the back of the car comes along and he gets involved there too. The police don't seem to be pulling those people away. And now here's a really close view of the back of the car. The number plate's gone. You can see the edges of the glass here, and that's quite interesting as well. And then there's quite a clear look inside. Now, I've had a good look at this. There's nobody in the front at the moment. So those men in orange have climbed out again by the looks of it. Oh, someone's just got in. Yeah. This man with the orange shoes is back. And then the camera pans away. Just coming into view here is a pram. Now I'm guessing that this is the one that was run into earlier on. I can't imagine there were that many babies in prams around that area at that time. And it is the same colour and the same style. There's a pretty clear view of it there. Nobody seems to be fussing around or taking much notice of that. And there's some activity here. Looks like there's a casualty on the ground here and a man with no shirt. So, and that's about it. And so at the start of that video, there was someone at the back of the car who appeared to be doing something with the number plate, and I picked that up from an X account called Storm It Out, and it looks like somebody had videoed this from the lunchtime news called Northwest Today, and it's just slightly clearer, so I'll play some of this. The caption on this, which has been added by presumably the owner of the X account, is, quote, "Why is someone in hoodie and white latex gloves ripping off the registration?" I've watched this a few times and I don't know that he is ripping off the registration. But what is clear is that he's doing something, and not very long later the registration plate is gone, and it really is a bit of a mystery. And yes, it does look like he's wearing latex gloves and he's wearing a hoodie, and the police who are around aren't doing anything to stop him. It's a matter of seconds. People get in the way, and then when the view clears again, that number plate is gone, so who knows. The final video in the sequence I could find, and I'll show you which bit the BBC cut out of that one.
You fucking rat, God!
At this point, the driver is said to be being bundled into the back of this police van. I do find it interesting that that MP33 is in plain sight here. The police are pushing people away clearly, and this is the bit that the BBC didn't show. There's a man on the ground. There is surrounded by 3 police officers. There's a female police officer, and she's about to get out a pepper spray. There we go. She's spraying him. Now I assume that's pepper spray or something of that nature. He's clearly it's clearly causing the man on the ground some distress. So a very angry scene there, and this is a video that was shared very widely on X, and there was a lot of comments about this man on the ground who appears to be arrested, because there was only one person arrested and they said that was the driver. So there was speculation that this may have been the driver, and then there were counter comments saying no, it wasn't the driver, it was someone who was trying to get to the driver to attack him or whatever. And so there was a lot of confusion there. One thing about this Liverpool Parade incident that's very different from Manchester is that there's an awful lot of footage on X and other places, YouTube and places, and I've downloaded and examined a lot of it. I'm not going to go through it all because I don't want to spend the rest of my life on this. But there is one more video that I'm just going to quickly show you, and it's from Sky News. It's from CCTV cameras, and it's two different cameras, and it shows the entire thing playing out just from above. Before I go through that, here's a view from street level. This is Google Street View. And this will give you a sense of just how far that car travelled. Looking this way, it's 8 Water Street on the left hand side, and that bus there, the coach that's outside 8 Water Street, that's roughly where the ambulance was and where the car started from. And looking this way, this is where the car came to a halt. That building there is James Street Station, and the building on the right is New Zealand House, which is now defaced with Hooters signs. And so to this Sky News video. The first thing I noticed about this is that it looks like the timestamp has been blurred out, and that's the only thing that was blurred out in this video. And I'm not entirely sure why they would do that, but I'm assuming that that is the timestamp. The second thing to say is that the whole thing is captured on two different cameras, and you can see it all play out, but it's so blurry that it's very difficult to make out. So some of this you might have to take my word for, but I will try and show you. At this point, the car is just a very blurry blob at the top here. I'll play some of this at normal speed and then I'll stop it and explain a few things. So that's the first part of it. I'll just rewind. The first thing that happens is that the driver of the car reverses, and this is really clear on this bit, although it's a bit difficult to make out because it's right at the edge of the screen. There, is reversing, and yeah, it actually goes pretty much off the screen. So there's no sign of the ambulance here, but it could just be off the edge here. And then he starts moving forward. As he does, you can see the man in the high-vis jacket waving his arm. And he's about to hit the man who goes onto the bonnet, which happens there. And I'll just run through this again one more time, and this time it's just to show you where the man in the high-vis jacket comes from, and it turns out that he comes from the crowd and he is in the middle of the road as the car is drawing forward. Right, so there he's not visible. He runs out, he's in the middle of the road, runs forward, gets next to the man in red, waves his arm, and that's it. And at the same time, this man in red jumps across. This is the second CCTV footage, and this is where the car ploughs through the crowd, and on this video it really does look like he is ploughing through the crowd. I'll play it at full speed. And that's it. I'm going to wrap up now by telling you what happened after the incident. I've put together a timeline to go through this, but before I do that, there's just one other thing that I want to show you. I tend to use Wikipedia to put together an official account of what happened, because it does give quite a good digest of the official narrative. But the thing I really want to show you is this little video at the side here. It's only 6 seconds long, and it's actually of that Sky News video that I played earlier. And there it is. But the thing that really captured my attention on this was that they've left in the timestamp. And so this video starts at 17:01 and 22 seconds. Now, I'm guessing that this is an hour out because this will be Greenwich Mean Time when it should be British summertime. But if we add on that hour and say it's 6:01:22 p.m, it looks like that was the exact time the car was at that position. Now, to me, that looks like it was going pretty slowly, and if you were very clever, you'd be able to calculate the exact speed of the car over that distance, but I can't do that. So back to the timeline, and I'm starting on the day itself, which was Monday the 26th of May 2025. As of today's date, and I'm recording this on the 4th of July 2025, Wikipedia reports that there were 109 non-fatal injuries and no fatalities. And the incident is classed as a vehicle ramming attack. Again, according to Wikipedia, a vehicle ramming attack is also known as a vehicle as weapon attack, and it is an assault in which a perpetrator deliberately rams a vehicle into a building, people, or another vehicle. According to Stratfor Global Intelligence Analysts, this attack represents a relatively new militant tactic that could prove more difficult to prevent than suicide bombings. And it occurs to me that there have been a large number of these incidents in the last year, so I asked Perplexity to list them, and this was the result. So Liverpool's there at the top, but there was Vancouver, New Orleans, Munich, Magdeburg, and so on. And in addition to that, Perplexity has added this comment that, quote, car ramming attacks have increased globally over the past year, with several high-profile incidents resulting in significant casualties. And so, yes, there have been quite a few high-profile incidents which appear to be similar to the Liverpool Parade incident, and a lot of video evidence that circulates on X and other social media platforms. The one that sticks in my mind is the Magdeburg Christmas market car ramming, and it's because of this video that I found on X. And so it occurred to me that with all these car rammings taking place in all sorts of places around the world, that there's no escaping from the coverage of this. It doesn't matter whether you watch the BBC and mainstream media, or whether you are on TikTok and YouTube, or whether you read, or even whether you listen to podcasts and that sort of thing. There will be coverage of this, and it's all very emotional, and there are a lot of different angles. So for some people, they might get angry about immigration and immigrants running into innocent people, say at a Christmas market, whereas for others, they'll picture themselves as the potential innocent victim of one of these attacks, out for a day out with the family. And the Liverpool one had a particularly emotive victim, which was a baby in a pram, and that was the prominent story in the mainstream media. Going back to the timeline, on the day of the incident, later that evening, Merseyside police issued a statement to say that a 53-year-old white British man from West Derby, Liverpool, had been arrested at the scene and taken into custody. From what I remember, they didn't actually specify that this was a driver, but they did say that only one person had been arrested. The media made quite a big deal about the fact that the police were quick to release this information, and there's this little bit in Wikipedia which says, quote, Reuters said that police were unusually quick to give a description of the man they arrested to head off speculation of a religious motive after riots took place following misinformation spread about the 2024 Southport stabbings. And that, according to Jonathan Hall Casey, the UK government's independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, the decision should set a precedent for transparency in almost all future incidents. So that was the thinking behind it, but what actually happened was that there was all sorts of discussion about who this person could be. If you think back to the BBC Verify video, the BBC was very keen to share that footage of the driver as the car door was opened. And this was true right across the media, and of course it was all over X and other social media. And so many people were saying that the driver didn't look like he was in his 50s. And there are others who said there was a white man who appeared to be in his 50s and who appeared to be arrested at the scene, and that was the one who was being pepper sprayed. And so, of course, there was a lot of discussion and speculation, despite the fact that the police were saying here that they were being open about who they'd arrested. And all that speculation carried on over the next couple of days. On the Tuesday, the police gave an update, but they didn't really say very much. It was just really to say that the man had been detained and had been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, dangerous driving and driving while unfit through drugs. On Wednesday the 28th of May, Merseyside police issued an update, but it was just to say that they'd been granted further time to continue questioning the suspect who was in police custody. So the speculation on social media continued. And it was on that same day that the BBC ran a report claiming that a man called Peter Cunningham had been wrongly identified on social media as being the driver of the car, and he was saying that he'd moved his children out of their home because he feared for their safety. This is the report that the BBC put out, and you can see that Mariana Spring's name is attached to this. But the comments on X that I remember from that time were that Peter Cunningham's name wasn't being circulated on X at all. Nobody had heard of this man. And the other interesting thing to me is this photo of Water Street. It's quite a good one because it shows both 8 Water Street and the point where the car stopped all in one shot. And it's also got the iconic liver birds in the background there. Back to the timeline, and on Thursday the 29th of May, Merseyside police finally issued a statement to say that the suspect in custody had been charged, and that his name was Paul Desmond Saunders Doyle from the West Derby area of Liverpool. But this opened up a whole new can of worms, which I'll go through now. And so when the police released the name Paul Doyle, the mainstream media were all over this story, and a lot of photos were circulating. Here's one, here's another. These ones are on Mail Online, but all of the mainstream were sharing these photos. And here's a photo of the driver of the car on the day. And there was one photo in particular, and it was this one. The BBC has chosen this one. One thing about all these photos is that I haven't been able to find anywhere that says where they come from. The BBC here has just put social media on this one. Another detail about Paul Doyle that the BBC reported is that he's a former Royal Marine. But it didn't take long for sleuths on X to track down where this photo came from, and it was from the Facebook page of someone called John Paul Boyle. And naturally this caused a lot of discussion and questions. And there's one here in particular. I can't vouch for this. I don't know whether this was genuinely on his Facebook page or whether someone's just mocked it up. But this shows the type of thing that was circulating around Twitter and the questions that were being asked. One thing that they do have in common is that they seem to be fairly old photos. I mean, this one is suggesting 2009, and I don't think the ones that were circulating on the mainstream were recent photos. Back to the timeline, and on Friday the 30th of May, Paul Doyle appeared at Liverpool Magistrates Court. He didn't enter a plea and he was remanded in custody. There were 7 charges brought against him, which were dangerous driving and an assortment of other charges, but notably attempted murder wasn't amongst them, nor was driving while unfit through drugs. And because he'd appeared at court, there were some drawings released. The BBC went with this one by Julia Quensler, and there was another artist there called Elizabeth Cook, so this is one by her. And Sky News went with this one, which was also by Elizabeth Cook. This Google Images page is quite interesting because there are a lot of pictures of Paul Doyle, all those social media pictures, and the court drawings as well, and so you can compare those side by side. And incidentally, despite the revelation on X that the Facebook account that these photos came from was someone by the name of John Paul Boyle rather than Paul Doyle, none of the mainstream, as far as I'm aware, have commented on that. And just to complete the timeline, on the 14th of August, there will be another court hearing for Paul Doyle, at which he'll enter a plea, and there's a possible trial date penciled in for November. And so I think that just about wraps it up for the Liverpool Parade Incident. I didn't expect to spend quite so long looking at this, but the more I looked into it, the more I realised that there are an awful lot of strands to this one, and they all need exploring if I'm going to do it justice. Having said that, I do want to get back to the Manchester Arena incident because there's more on that I really want to say, and a lot more material that I want to share. And so this Liverpool Parade Incident video will probably just be a one-off. Thank you for watching.
It's a freaky show. Take a look at the old man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if he'll ever know who's in the best-selling show. Is their life on